name is Amber Hug. I live in Chicago, Illinois. I work at Fringe Salon here in the heart of Winter Park. I'm actually creating this video because I'm applying for the Regional Educational Management position for the Kansas City area. In this video, I would like to show you 4 different techniques. I have 4 quadrants on my mannequin head here, as you can see clearly defined. Here's section 1. I will be doing a retouch application. In this section over here, I will be doing foil highlights. On this side, I will be doing a balayage highlights. And on this side, I'm going to show a color melting technique. I'd like to mix up the retouch formula for section 1. I'm going to be mixing up Goya Royale High Definition Color, level 6-4. I'm going to mix up 30 grams of 6-4 mixed with 30 grams of 10 volume. So we're going to put our 30 grams of color in, a little over at 33 grams. We'll be using Schwarzkopf Goya Royale 10 volume, equal parts. So we'll put 33 grams of this in as well to make it 66 grams altogether. We'll get our color mixed up. When you're mixing hair color, it's very important to look at it. I always use a scale when measuring hair color so I can be as accurate as possible. Also, make sure that you are stirring and mixing your hair color to the right consistency. If you have clumps of hair color, it can cause inconsistency in your hair color. When you're coloring for a retouch application, if you do have white hair, I do say always start in the areas that are the most white or the most resistant areas. The other thing is you want to be very clean when you are applying your hair color, so don't have too much hair color on the brush. Make sure you're scraping some off and just have a little bit on the end. And when you're by the skin, just tap it slightly close to the skin. So make sure you're still getting it fully saturated. And then take very fine sections in between and apply. And you can always add a little bit to your next section so the underneath gets covered. Pull down this section and then cover that as well. Also make sure that you're getting the sides of the hair as well. And also in between your sections, just to make sure everything is fully covered. So we're going to continue to work our way to the top. When you're applying a regrowth color, if they have a darker color previously, be careful not to overlap too much. Take it to the regrowth and don't pull it through. You don't want to create banding. And you would continue this process through this entire section all the way up to the top. If you were creating a shadow root by using this same technique, you would want to make sure to feather your brush down just a little ways. And by feathering, it means bringing it down just very softly. And once you've feathered it down, you can go back through with a fine-tooth comb and pull it through. It will make it blend seamlessly. For my next section, I will be demonstrating a foil highlight with our Schwarzkopf Professional Igora Variable Blonde Extra Power. It has up to 8 levels of lift and an anti-yellow agent. This has a mixing ratio of 1:2. When you're doing foils, it's best if you start at the top and work your way down, especially if you're bringing the lightener all the way to the top of the foil, because the lightener can bleed sometimes. And if you're putting pressure on the ones underneath and constantly putting them on top of each other, it can cause more of them. So I'm going to start with my top section. Depending on the look you want, if you want to leave a veil, if they don't want to see the highlights, I would take this very top section and let that go. I'm going to do a fine to medium weave. So you want to make sure you're taking a very small slice before you weave. Take your comb, and I'm just doing a fine weave. I usually bend my foil over the comb just to make it easier. Whenever you are applying color for a foil, never apply it at the top of the foil. Always start partway down and apply your color and feather it up towards the top. That way you don't end up having too much color and it comes out and bleeds from the top of your foil. You want to make sure that you're fully saturating this hair. In order to do so, you may not just bring your brush down, but bring it also, roll it side to side, because hair is round. So if you're rolling it to side, it will help so that it gets every aspect of that hair. Make sure to bring the bottom up into your foil. Once you have your foil in place and fully saturated, hold your foil up, but don't put a crease in the bottom. If you put a crease in the bottom, you'll create a line where the color doesn't get into that spot. So just pinch at the sides and then move your foil back. For my next section, I'm going to demonstrate balayage highlights. I chose to use the L-00 in the Schwarzkopf Professional Agora Royale Fashion Lights. And I chose this because it has a creamy consistency, but yet it can still cut through hair color and lift up to 5 levels. It is mixed a 1-to-1 ratio with 40 volume developer. I'm going to start on the bottom here. I like to take diagonal sections in different directions when I'm balayaging so that as it lays more seamlessly. You can take as thick or as thin of a piece as you want, depending on if your client wants to see all of their ends light or just part of it. We're going to start with this slight weave, a nice chunky weave, so that it's more of a natural look for her. Whenever you're applying for this, again, always start towards the bottom and feather your way up. It's best when you're doing a balayage to feather up instead of bringing it from the top down so that you don't get any lines. So we're just going to feather up, and I'm going to feather in a V shape. And each section can be completely different. So I can do a V shape in this section. My next section, maybe I choose to start in the front and angle my way over to the side, just so I have variety and it looks more natural. Be very, very soft when you're feathering up as well, so that you don't create any lines. If you look closely, you can see everything is very soft. I will grab my paddle and put underneath. This makes it so that I can fully saturate the ends. Because in a balayage highlight, it goes from a gradually darker into lighter. So you're going to have a little softer lightness here because this is only going to saturate that very top level. If you look underneath, it's not saturated on the underneath, just on the top. But we want the ends to be fully saturated. So again, we'll want to work back and forth to make sure that it is saturated. So my next section, I'll take it a different diagonal. And again, I'll take a thick weave just so it's more natural looking. Start towards the base and feather my way up. On this one, I'm going to actually feather it more towards her face. With balayage highlight, if you think naturally as a child, you have more lightness by your face and it gradually gets darker towards the back of the head. So we're going to put a little more lightness by her face. So we're going to bring it up a little bit higher here. And then once we get to the bottom again, I'll use my paddle and fully saturate the ends. If she had thicker hair, you would just put a piece up here and then another piece at the bottom. For my last and final section, I will be demonstrating a color melt technique. We're going to be doing a color melt from a level 5 to a level 9. So we're going to start with the 5-65 in the Agora Royale. We're going to mix that with 10 volume. We're going to do a 7-65 in her mid shaft with 20 volume. And I'm going to move over to our high power browns then for her ends. High power browns on virgin hair can lift up to 4 levels. So that's why we're using 40 volume, because we want to get a nice contrast into lightness in her ends. And we're using the -2 to keep her a little on the cooler side in her ends. There are a couple of different ways that you can do color melts. You can do them with or without foils. I'm going to show you both application techniques. If you're doing it with foils, it's a little more time consuming because you would have to foil the entire hair. And you're going to have to take finer sections to make sure everything is fully saturated. I make sure to go ahead and apply to her new growth first. And again, being careful to not get color on her skin and be very clean with your application. And again, I'm starting with the level 5-65, which is your chocolate gold, and a level 5. We're just richening up her base. On this technique, I'm going to use a longer foil. So for your top section, fully saturate the hair. Again, working side to side. In each section, you're going to want to bring the top at different levels. If you bring them all to the same level, you're going to have bandiness. So this section, I'm going to bring it to here, but the next section, I might bring her dark all the way down to here, and only do a little bit of the midsection and into the end. My next color is my 7-65. I'm not going to bring it all the way to my previous section, just very close. And again, fully saturating that area. Also working side to side. Then I will apply my my final formula. Again, getting very close to the other color, but not fully saturating in that area yet. Because when you're melting these colors together, I chose to stay within 2 levels, so everything when it blends together will create a nice in-between tone. So I'm going to use a kissing technique, and I'm going to use a sponge to blend these together. So I'll bring the top color down and the bottom color up to create an in-between and melt those 2 colors together. Then I'm going to use the other side so that I don't use the same one I just had and mix those colors. And again, bring the top color down, bottom one up, and just blend those 2 together to create a nice in-between tone. You take your next foil and place it over top of, and if you were to do foils all the way through, you just bring down your next section and start it. If you were to do this without foils, again, I would start by saturating at the very top. Make sure that you're painting and fully saturating, and again, stopping at a point. Make sure to wipe your hand on a towel in between. I like to put them right in my apron so it's easy to use. Then I'll take my middle color, and again, coming close to, but not quite, to that middle area, to that top color, and bringing that down. Again, wipe my hand, and our third color down here, coming close to, but not all the way to that previous section. Again, I'll take my sponge, and I'm going to bring the top color down into the bottom and the bottom one up to create a nice in-between shade and a great transition. Again, turn my sponge around, and again, bring this color down and the bottom one up, and let that lay. Because you'll be melting all the way through to the top, just bring it at different levels, and they can lay on top of each other since these colors are going to be the same throughout. Now that I've demonstrated 4 different techniques for you, I have done a complete look on my mannequin here using our Schwarzkopf Professional Agora Royale High Power Bronze. I used B-2 on her highlights along with actually the Schwarzkopf Agora Royale L-00. And I created a nice sombre effect. So if you look closely, you can see she has different shades of caramel and butterscotch in her hair. In order to create this look, I shampooed her hair with our Schwarzkopf Professional BC Bonicure color-free, sulfate-free shampoo, and I also used the conditioner. The shampoo has a pH level of 4.5, which Schwarzkopf has found to be the optimal pH level for longevity of hair color. I also use our Schwarzkopf Professional BC Bonicure color-free spray conditioner in her hair to create some extra shine and combability. For styling on my mannequin today, I used some products that are from our Schwarzkopf Professional Osis Session label. This is a very compact line. We have 6 products in the SKU, and these products are meant to be built up and then also broken down. So you can use one product and the other, or use all of them at one time and still comb through your hair. In this product line, we have our sea salt texture spray, which is fantastic to give you those waves as if you were just by the ocean. It gives your hair just that little bit of grit and that little bit of texture to give you those nice soft waves. We also have our Silk Shine Cream, which Silk Shine Cream is what I've used on my mannequin, and you can see the immense amounts of shine that she does have in her hair. It's to be used in wet hair before you blow dry to create shine. My favorites to use is a blow dry. I also have a flexible hold hairspray in the line, which is fantastic for setting curls. I use this one also in my mannequin when I set her curls before we styled her out. She still had the flexibility that she needed. It doesn't create hard, stiff curls. It gives you nice flexible curls, but gives you that little bit of hold you need to set the hair, called the molding paste. This is great for your short haircuts to create texture. It's also great for curly hair if you want to create more definition between the curls. I finished her off with our strong hold hairspray just to make sure that she would stay in place all day. As you can see, it gives a very fine mist, and so it makes it so that she has the hold that she needs, but she still has mobility. You can still run your hands through her hair even though we use several products in her, but she has the hold factor that she needs. Thank you for taking time to watch this video. I do hope you consider me for this position. I'm very excited to join your team.